Greetings, my fellow human beings. We are live. This is Live Free or Die. And I'm your host, Eli King. And, yes, it is a wonderful day. All right, enough of that. We got a lot of news today and only a short amount of time, so I want to get to it. First and foremost, side issue. This did make the news. These scumbags, you see one of them right there, Margarita Lopez. He's a bucket of piss, if you ask me. Okay, here's the situation, people. I have had no hot water for about 6 months, and I live in the public housing projects. And I went down to court. And you see, every time, let me back up a little. Every time I try to get out of doing what I'm doing, alternative news media, every time I say, you know what, I've had enough. I'm done. Nobody's watching. Nobody's listening. It's like it's like God puts his will into somebody, and then they reach out to me and they pull me back in. I try to get out and they pull me back in. And I thank you, the viewer, for that. For those nice emails, for those nice phone calls, for all the letters, for all the support. Now, back to my housing story that I have no damn hot water for 6 damn months. I got 3 kids. I got to boil water to bathe them. Well, anyway, I go down to court, and then they try to have me sign this agreement. And at the moment, I'm feeling bad. Housing's broke. You know what? I'll sign it. My hot water got turned on recently after 6 months, so I signed it. And we get up to the judge, and the judge is like, you don't have to agree to this, right? And I go, yeah, I know. I wanted a rent reduction because I had no hot water. And, well, actually, before that, I'm sitting next to a lady right when I'm ready to give in to these housing tyrannical pieces of crap. And the lady opens up the paper right in front of me, just like that. And it turns out the New York City Housing Authority is sitting on $1 billion. $1 billion. So that's when I said, you cheap mother effers, I want some money. I am getting compensated. So I'm going to trial September 5th at 111 Center Street, 9:30 p.m., room 526. Join me. And if you have any housing cases, just go to trial. Fight it all the way. Don't sign their terms. Don't agree with their bullcrap agenda. I take everything to trial. If I get caught smoking a joint which I don't smoke, or drinking a beer on the street, I'm taking it to trial. I take everything to trial because it is my constitutional right. And I love this country. I love it. All right, wasting crazy time here. I got crazy news. Enough with my pathetic issues. Let's go on to the news. I wanted to cover this last week, but I didn't. New York Times openly admits mainstream media stories are scripted by the White House. No, you know what? So now the mainstream media is admitting that the White House controls what they say. And they go to Mr. Obama first before they print this stuff. Is this okay, Mr. Obama, what you said about, that people who built their own businesses didn't really build it? Well, anyway, yeah. New York Times finally admitting that they're liars. They're a bunch of scumbag, filthy liars. All right. Let's move on to our next big story. We got big story, a lot of news here. Let's move. Government, this is from Susan Postel of Infowars.com. Government silently positions for martial law as financial collapse arrives in America. Let me read a few words from this lady. This is a very well-written article. The U.S. government has been scheming on how to provide for continuity of government. To provide continuity of government. These people always texting me. I forget to shut off my phone. Sorry about that, people. Government silently positions for martial law as financial collapse arrives. The U.S. government has been scheming on how to provide for a continuity. Oh boy. A continuity of government for many decades now. According to Peter Stantonelli, an informant who's an ex-Marine and worked for portions of the contingency plan known as Rex 84, civil unrest will come after financial collapse. You see, excuse me. Oh, I got a text. They are effing with your show. It's blinking and going black, but it's recording. That's from my wife, shaking my head. Of course they're gonna mess with my show, because I got big news, people. Martial law is coming to America. And if you don't know, get a clue. All right, here we go. Rex 84. If you don't know about Rex 84, the Readiness Exercise 1984, aka Rex 84, outlines the continuity of government, wherein the U.S. Constitution is suspended, martial law is declared, and the U.S. military command take over state and local governments in order to ensure stabilization of our nation at any cost. Any American who is deemed a national security threat would be detained in an internment or FEMA camp. The author of Rex 84 was Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, National Security Council, White House aides, and liaison to FEMA. Rex 84 is the plan that the triggers are a series of executive orders. It is the continuity of government under specific strategies that are laid out in various operation guide manuals. Operation Garden Plot is a sub-program of Rex 84. Twice before, Rex 84 was implemented, once during the LA riots and once during 9/11. Some of these plans include internment camps where all or portions of the active or inactive military bases would be transformed. And also NATO forces would be used in every phase of this operation. According to Santilli, procedures to move conventional chemical and nuclear bombs across the nation without detection have been facilitated without notice by the U.S. military. Back in 1986, during his military service, where he was involved in with weapons transportation, Santilli describes how unmarked refrigerated trailer driven by a civilian driver was used to transport a chemical or conventional weapons to various strategic bases underground. He said one possible scenario was the use of a cluster bomb units, CBUs, that will emit upon detonation a sleep and kill chemical weapon that will not disturb infrastructure but is lethal to all living things with the affected zone. Santilli describes these particular three units, CBUs, as shaped like water heaters with a cone top and plunger-like device. Once deployed in the air, a parachute assists these CBUs to target the targeted area, and when detonated, the deadly chemical gas will kill every human and animal in the specified coordinated area. Santilli explains that his knowledge of Rex 84 provides that within the document, one of the scenarios that would cause complete suspension of the U.S. Constitution, Bill of Rights, and implement martial law would be a financial collapse, he says. Once the collapse occurs, the U.S. government and defense agencies estimate they have 72-hour window to activate all procedures to ensure continuity of government as well as a lockdown of the general population as civil unrest, riots, and outbreaks of violence are anticipated. Reading on. A source in the Deutsche Bank claims in 2008 that our financial monetary system completely collapsed, and since that time, the banking cartels have been popping up the system, propping up the system to make it appear as if everything was fine, but in reality, our monetary systems are fake, meaning that there is nothing holding them in place except the illusion that they have stabilized since the stock market crash nearly 5 years ago. The Deutsche Bank informant says that the cause for the bailout of the banks was a large sum of cash needed quickly to repay China, who had purchased large quantities of mortgage-backed securities that went belly up when the global scam was realized. When China realized that they had been duped into buying worthless scrutinized loans and would never be repaid, they demanded actual property instead. The Chinese were prepared to send their people to American shores to seize property to allocate it to them through the scrutinized loan contracts. Also, in 1970, Henry Kissinger made a deal with the Saudi Arabian government that American debt would be purchased in exchange for cheap oil. Since then, Iran has taken control over the organization petroleum exporting countries, OPEC, by their use of gold as currency, which has threatened the direct value of the U.S. dollar as the global reserve currency. This scenario with Iran, coupled with the massive leaps forward in U.S. military presence on American street and the emergence of FEMA camps across the nation, pose an obvious turn of events, explains exactly why we are witnessing the silent implementation of martial law. The war with Iran has to do with gold, its use as currency, and its exposure of the central banking cartel's lack of gold, which defines a fiat currency's worth. And right now, the U.S. dollar is absolutely worthless. You got that? The U.S. dollar is absolutely worthless. Remember that, people. Buy gold. The Deutsche Bank informant says that the financial collapse that happened in '08 will be realized here in America very soon. Once that happens, there must be full implementation of martial law to control the potential riots and control over citizens that will be desperate to feed their families. The attacks of recent on the Second Amendment play a significant role in attempting amicably to remove possibility of civilian retaliation against the U.S. military's presence throughout the nation. However, if they cannot remove the guns from our hands in time, they will continue on the guidelines set out in Rex 84, with directives to kill any dissenters that refuse to obey. So when they implement martial law and you don't comply and turn in your guns, they will shoot you down there on the street. So you better come up with plan B. All right, let's move on to our next article by Paul Joseph Watson. New effort to curtail posse comitatus after Colorado massacre. Basically, you got these senators like Representative Peter King of New York, that scumbag. He's on the House Committee of Homeland Security leaders. And basically, he's saying that we need military to join at the hip with our local police forces. That is a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. Look it up, Peter King. Our police can handle the streets. Well, maybe not once the majority of people find out that we've been ripped off for the last 100 years since 1913, since the Federal Reserve Act was implemented. We need to abolish the Federal Reserve, abolish the IRS, and abolish the federal income tax. What else it says here? Well, anyway, yep, it goes on about foreign troops. We're running out of time. Let's move on to our next article, also by Paul Joseph Watson. U.S. Army purchases riot gear as fears over civil unrest grow. Follows DHS in preparation for domestic disorder. In a previous solicitation, the U.S. Army also put out a contract for riot gear to be delivered to the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York. This contract, which was eventually awarded to A2Z Supply Corp., included requests to supply riot shields, face shields, and batons and body protection. So now you got the Army and Department of Homeland Security gearing up, buying all this gear. I forget how much of ammunition they bought. I know it's tons of ammunition that can last for a 7-year war. They're getting ready for a 7-year bloodbath civil war. And speaking of that, let's move on to our next article, also by PJW. Meet the new terrorists, conservative Americans. The war on terror shifts its focus. It's appropriate that the United States is now officially backing al-Qaeda fighters in Syria, given the fact that the primary focus of the war on terror has been shifted away from Muslim extremists and realigned to target political, active, conservative, and libertarian Americans. If you're not noticing it, they're, like this article just said, they're moving away from the Muslim al-Qaeda crazies, and they're focusing on people like me who love and believe and will die for the Constitution. And this is what they say. They believe you're a terrorist if Americans who believe their way of life is under attack. You are a terrorist if You fierce, people who consider themselves anti-global. Americans who are suspicious of centralized federal authority. Americans who are reverent of individual liberty. People who believe in conspiracy theories that involve grave threat to national sovereignty and or personal liberty. The report also lists people opposed to abortion and groups to seek to smite the purported enemies of God and other evildoers as terrorists. So if you don't like abortion, you're a terrorist. If you like the Constitution, you're a terrorist. And this fits right into our next article by Kurt Nemo. ABC to run drama demonizing militias. This is a big psyop going on. ABC's got this new show coming out called Founding Fathers. Well, they basically focus on this Texas militia that is, believes in the Constitution, everything I talk about. Basically me, but a white person, I'm not that white, on TV. And of course, mostly all the time, the leaders of these groups are FBI or some sort of FBI or CIA asset leading patsies to the slaughter or, to be set up. So if ever anybody approaches you saying, hey, let's go plant this bomb or let's go do this, or they're FBI, okay? Don't be stupid. So we got a big major psyop going on with the ABC News Network, coming out with this new drama, Founding Fathers, demonizing militias, and people who love our country and our Constitution. Do not fall for the psyop. Every single television show has a purpose to psyop your mind. It throws in those subliminal messages, and it's so fast you don't even see it. And when you watch TV, you're automatically put in a dream state within seconds. And then people believe it because they saw it on TV. Oh, I saw it on Law and Order. Yeah. Oh my God. Anyway. So yeah. Oh boy. All right, let's move on to our next article. CIA manages drug trade, Mexican official says. This is by Alex Newman from the New American. He says the centralized intelligence agency's involvement in drug trafficking is back in the media spotlight after a spokesman for the violence-plagued Mexican state of Chihuahua became the latest high-profile individual to accuse the CIA, which has been linked to narcotics trafficking for decades, of ongoing efforts to manage the drug trade. The infamous American spy agency refused to comment. In a recent interview, Chihuahua State spokesman Guillermo Tavares from Villanova told Al Jazeera that the CIA and other international security outfits don't fight drug traffickers. Instead, Villanova argued, they try to control and manage the illegal drug market for their own benefit. Well, of course. When you see the cops or the Border Patrol especially, and the DEA and the ATF, they're not going after real drug dealers, because if they were, they would go after the CIA. Instead, they go after their competition, who doesn't pay the banksters VIG, if we can call it that. You don't pay the VIG to the banksters, then the cops are going to come after you. Okay? This is a Rockefeller law that was created in the 70s, I believe. Rockefeller drug laws. Meanwhile, the Rockefellers bring in the drugs via the CIA. And then they put you in a Rockefeller jail. So don't fall into the drug game. Find other ways to earn a living. Oh, there's just so much info here. Here we go. Even the New York Times eventually covered part of the scandal in a piece entitled Anti-Drug Unit of the CIA Sent Ton of Cocaine to U.S. in 1990, and the agency's Inspector General, Frederick Hitz, was eventually forced to coincide to a congressional committee that the CIA had indeed worked with the drug traffickers. An explosive investigation by reporter Gary Webb, dubbed the Dark Alliance, also uncovered a vast CIA machine to ship illegal drugs into the U.S. to fund clandestine and unconstitutional activities abroad, including the financing of armed groups. Webb eventually died under highly suspicious circumstances. 2 gunshots to the head, officially ruled a suicide. Another one. Another truther who kills himself by shooting himself twice in the head. That's amazing. How do you kill yourself by shooting yourself twice in the head? Bang, and then you, bang? It doesn't make sense. Anyway. Let's take some calls. I love it. I love America. All right, we are live. 212-245-7273. We are live. It is Saturday. Call me up. Do you believe that martial law is coming to America? Do you think that the CIA brings in the drugs? Give me a call. Let me know. You disagree with me? Give me a call. All right. This next article is... I just got a text. Is that true? Is what true? Yes, Gary Webb shot himself in the head twice, and they ruled it a suicide. Just like Officer Terrence Yankee from the Oklahoma City Police Department, who they also ruled a suicide because he knew that Oklahoma City was blown up by the ATF and the FBI. So what did they do? They tracked him down. They handcuffed him, which he has handcuff burns. He has rope burns. They dragged him a mile over a barbed wire fence where he stabbed and slit his own wrist and then shot himself in the back of the head at a weird angle. Right. Yes, it's very true. King Riso Love from up above. I love it. I love it. All right, give me a call, 212-245-7273. Next article. Push to put your money in Google's CIA wallet. If you haven't noticed, Google has this cloud system, and they call it a wallet. We can put all your credit cards and information in there, and basically you can click and buy. But if you're a person like me, then you put all your information in there, and then when you start speaking up about them, they can easily just shut you down. So use cash. Keep cash alive. We must not move to this fraudulent, technocratic fiat system. Moving on. This is from the Daily Caller. Number of coal-fired generators to be shut down in 2012. That's right. President Obama is set to shut down 175 fired coal generators, or 8.5% of the coal generators in this city. In this country, excuse me. So, get ready for rolling blackouts. Get ready for austerity. Get ready for no power, basically. Meanwhile, China gets to open up a coal plant every month, and we get shut down. It doesn't matter. Obama even admitted, if you own a coal plant, that's good, that's fine. But the problem is, we're going to tax you so hard, you're going to be bankrupt. By the way, I'd like to introduce you to my girlfriend. This is her. I have a wife, but this is my girlfriend. My guns. I love guns. Legal guns. Not illegal guns. For all you maniacs out there. I am a good person. All right, let's move on. Running out of time. Obama's or Sunstein. Kaz Sunstein. Obama's little minion, who was the Information and Regulatory Affairs in the Office of Management and Budget, has announced his departure. This is the same guy who said if you believe in or if you don't believe in man-made global warming, that you should be arrested. And he also wants to shut down the internet. This guy is pure scum. Bye-bye, Cass Sunstein. All right, next article. Running out of time. American Dream. They really do want to implant microchips in your brain. That's right. IBM has come up with this new microchip that they're going to drill a hole in your skull and then put the microchip laying on top of your brain. And they claim that it could cure Parkinson's, diabetes, and all these wonderful things. And basically even give you a natural high. So I can imagine just thousands of people coming up to line up to get this new thing that they also say you can control, open up the web with it. And maybe like a new iPhone type thing. But what they don't tell you is that they can control your thoughts, tell you, what to think. So don't fall for any of these new technocratic chips that'll basically put you under mind control. And then you'll be their patsy, you'll be their slave, you'll be their zombie. All right, next article. Mainstream media pushes malicious fluoride lie. Fluoride-free bottled water is harming for children, they claim. First of all, most bottled water has fluoride in it already, but I just found this out. It's a shame. But to say that the bottled water is harming the baby's teeth is a lie. It's a filthy lie, okay? And actually, it says here that fluoride lowers your IQ. So please, mothers out there, do not give your babies the water with the fluoride. Get the fluoride free. You don't want fluoride in your water. It's going to make you and your baby stupid. All right, last article. We're going to end this with good news. Sacramento International Airport's evicts TSA screeners. That's right. Another airport that got rid of the damn TSA. Good riddance. The TSA are a bunch of child molesters, pedophiles, pot-bellied scumbags. So the faster we get rid of them, the better. Anyway, I'm out of time. God bless America. God save the Constitution. And if you have received this transmission, you are the resistance.